Welcome to Truth Report, where we peel back the layers of power and politics to uncover the inconvenient truths behind the headlines. Tonight, we expose a dangerous web of influence, corporate negligence, and political obstruction that is actively undermining our planet's future.
From geopolitical rivalries among petrostates, to a space giant threatening pristine waterways, and legislative assaults on local climate action here in the US, we connect the dots, revealing who truly benefits and who pays the price as the climate crisis accelerates.
We'll also examine how elite scandals can reflect deeper issues of accountability that ripple into environmental governance, and hear from the front lines of climate justice in the Pacific, where youth are demanding more than just empty promises.
Our investigation tonight cuts through the noise, exposing the forces that prioritize profit and power over planetary health. This isn't just about individual stories, it's about a systemic failure we can no longer afford to ignore.
Stay with us. The truth is often uncomfortable, but it's essential if we hope to navigate the challenges ahead. Let's start with a volatile situation in the Middle East. Our first story tonight takes us to the heart of the Middle East, where a significant diplomatic rift between two of the region's most powerful nations is escalating. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, long considered allies, are now at odds, requiring urgent mediation efforts.
Reporting from the South China Morning Post confirms that Bahrain and Egypt are stepping in to mend ties, just weeks after a public falling out in December. This isn't just a squabble, it has serious implications for regional stability and global energy dynamics.
The core of the dispute, according to SCMP, is Saudi Arabia's accusation that the UAE is threatening its national security. This stems from the UAE's alleged support for Yemeni separatists who orchestrated a brief land grab, an accusation the Saudis are not taking lightly.
A source close to the Saudi government, as cited by the SCMP, dismisses the need for mediation, suggesting direct talks are sufficient. But the very fact that mediators are involved indicates a deeper fracture than Saudi officials might publicly admit.
This geopolitical maneuvering among Gulf states is far from a localized event. Both Saudi Arabia and the UAE are colossal players in the global energy market, their economies inextricably linked to fossil fuel production and export. This rift introduces significant instability.
Precisely, Alex. The distraction of internal conflict among the world's largest oil producers means that collective focus on regional climate adaptation, or indeed, investment in a global energy transition, often takes a backseat to security concerns and proxy wars.
The instability this creates has direct consequences. Shifting alliances and proxy conflicts, particularly in a volatile region like Yemen, can directly impact oil supply chains, leading to price fluctuations that make planning for a stable, renewable energy future even more precarious.
And let's be clear about who benefits from this kind of prolonged instability, primarily arms dealers and other nations that exploit regional divisions. The losers are undoubtedly the people of Yemen, caught in the crossfire, and implicitly, the global community awaiting decisive climate action.
This friction among petrostates highlights a fundamental contradiction. These nations possess immense wealth and could be pivotal in leading a green transition, yet their political capital and resources are often consumed by maintaining existing power structures, often through conflict.
It underscores how deeply entrenched fossil fuel economies are. Their reliance on oil revenue can perpetuate cycles of geopolitical rivalry, diverting crucial attention and resources away from the existential threat of climate change, both domestically and globally.
The very systems that have built their wealth are now contributing to a feedback loop of instability and climate inaction. It's a stark reminder that true climate security cannot exist without regional and international political stability, something actively undermined by this rift.
Indeed. This infighting among oil giants creates a dangerous precedent, demonstrating how the pursuit of traditional power and influence can overshadow the urgent, shared responsibility to address the climate crisis, leaving us all more vulnerable. Our next investigation brings us closer to home, focusing on a deeply concerning proposal in Florida that threatens one of the state's most vital and pristine ecological treasures. Aerospace giant Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, wants to dump wastewater into a sensitive estuary.
CleanTechnica reports on Blue Origin's plans, drawing alarming parallels to the unchecked industrial pollution of the past. The company intends to discharge wastewater into Mosquito Lagoon, a critical part of the biodiverse Indian River Lagoon ecosystem.
The proposed pollution includes substances like sulfite, phosphorus, and sulfuric acid, chemicals known to cause severe ecological damage. This isn't just a small-scale discharge, it's a direct threat to a waterway that scientists are desperately working to restore.
The Indian River Lagoon is already under immense stress from nutrient pollution, harmful algal blooms, and manatee deaths. Introducing industrial wastewater from a space launch facility would be a devastating setback, potentially pushing this fragile ecosystem past its breaking point.
As CleanTechnica eloquently puts it, just say no, this isn't a complex environmental dilemma, it's a clear case of corporate convenience overriding environmental stewardship. We've seen this story unfold countless times throughout history, with disastrous consequences.
Blue Origin, despite its futuristic ambitions in space, appears to be clinging to outdated, polluting practices on Earth. The financial incentive for them to simply dump waste rather than invest in robust, environmentally sound treatment facilities is starkly evident.
Who benefits here? Clearly, Blue Origin, by externalizing its operational costs onto the environment and the public. They get to save money on waste management by potentially destroying a natural resource.
And who loses? Everyone else. The marine life in Mosquito Lagoon, including endangered species, the local fishing and tourism industries, and Floridians who value their natural heritage. This is a classic case of privatizing profits while socializing environmental costs.
This incident highlights a troubling pattern within the burgeoning private space industry. While lauded for innovation, some companies seem to view environmental regulations as obstacles rather than essential safeguards, especially when operating in ecologically sensitive areas.
It exposes a power dynamic where large corporations, even those with immense resources, believe they can bypass stringent environmental protections. The question becomes, is the allure of space exploration so strong that we allow it to come at the cost of our planet's most precious ecosystems?
This is not just about one company or one lagoon. It's about the broader regulatory environment and whether our institutions are equipped or willing to stand up to powerful corporate interests. Allowing this sets a dangerous precedent for future industrial expansion near sensitive areas.
It demands an immediate and unequivocal rejection from regulatory bodies. We cannot sacrifice irreplaceable ecosystems for corporate convenience, especially when the technology and resources for responsible waste management undoubtedly exist. Sticking with Florida, our investigation next turns to a disturbing legislative trend that directly targets climate action at the local level. Lawmakers in Florida are actively pushing bills that would ban local communities from enacting their own climate mitigation policies.
CleanTechnica reports that the Florida legislature is considering measures designed to preempt and dismantle local climate strategies, citing concerns over costliness. This is a direct assault on the ability of cities and counties to protect themselves from an unfolding crisis.
These proposed bills would strip local governments of their autonomy to implement critical policies like energy efficiency mandates, renewable energy targets, and climate resilience building codes, effectively handcuffing communities most vulnerable to climate impacts.
Florida, a state notoriously at risk from rising sea levels, stronger hurricanes, and extreme heat, is now contemplating legislation that would actively undermine efforts to adapt and mitigate these threats. It's a profound betrayal of its own citizens.
The irony is breathtaking. While Floridians brace for increasingly severe climate events, their state government is moving to prevent local initiatives that could save lives and property. It's a textbook example of political ideology trumping scientific reality and public safety.
This isn't just about abstract policies, it's about real consequences for real people. Coastal communities facing inundation, agricultural regions battling saltwater intrusion, and urban areas coping with heat islands will all suffer from this forced inaction.
So, who stands to benefit from such regressive legislation? Clearly, the fossil fuel industry, which profits from the continued reliance on conventional energy sources, and potentially large developers who wish to avoid the costs of building climate-resilient infrastructure.
The losers are unequivocally the people of Florida, local governments losing their democratic right to self-determination, and the environment itself. This legislation prioritizes short-term financial interests over the long-term survival and well-being of the state.
This situation exposes a deeply troubling power structure, a state government actively using its authority to dismantle environmental protections and obstruct climate action. It's a clear example of state preemption designed to serve specific industrial interests rather than the public good.
It's not just a Florida problem, this is part of a broader national trend where state legislatures, often influenced by powerful lobbying groups, are overriding local efforts on issues ranging from environmental protection to public health.
This legislative interference directly undermines the democratic process, denying local communities the right to implement policies that reflect their unique needs and vulnerabilities. It demonstrates a cynical manipulation of power to impede progress on a critical issue.
The message is clear: when state governments prioritize political donors and corporate profits over the health and safety of their constituents, the climate crisis becomes not just an environmental issue, but a profound crisis of governance and democracy. Our next story takes us back to the Middle East, to a different kind of power dynamic. Reports from Middle East reveal that UAE influencers are actively defending Emiratis who have been mentioned in the recently unsealed Jeffrey Epstein files.
This situation, while not directly a climate story, sheds light on the opaque world of elite power, accountability, and reputation management. The Epstein files have implicated numerous powerful individuals, and now, those connected to the Emirati elite are under scrutiny.
Middle East I highlights a concerted effort by social media influencers to control the narrative and protect the reputations of these individuals. This suggests a coordinated strategy to deflect attention and maintain the carefully curated image of certain powerful figures within the UAE.
The very act of influencers being deployed in this manner speaks volumes about the intertwined nature of wealth, power, and image control. It's a stark reminder that immense resources can be marshaled to protect the privileged, even in the face of grave accusations.
While the Epstein scandal is centered on human trafficking, the underlying issue of unchecked power and accountability resonates deeply. When powerful individuals are shielded from scrutiny in one area, it emboldens them in others, including their environmental practices.
Consider the source of much of this wealth in the UAE, a fossil fuel economy that has generated immense fortunes. The ability of those who benefit from environmentally destructive industries to evade accountability in other aspects of their lives is a critical connection.
Who benefits from this vigorous defense? Primarily, those implicated and their powerful circles who seek to maintain their influence, access, and public perception. The immediate goal is reputation management and the avoidance of legal or social consequences.
And who loses? The victims of the crimes, whose pursuit of justice can be overshadowed, and the broader public's trust in institutions and accountability systems. This also creates a dangerous precedent that wealth can provide a shield against moral and legal reckoning.
This episode connects to broader power structures by illustrating how wealth derived from industries like fossil fuels can be leveraged to manipulate public opinion and circumvent justice. It highlights a culture of impunity that can extend across various domains, including environmental governance.
The narrative control demonstrated here is a powerful tool. If powerful individuals can reshape public perception around serious personal misconduct, imagine the ease with which they can influence or obscure discussions around their climate impacts or lack of environmental responsibility.
It underscores how systemic corruption and a lack of transparency among the global elite can undermine efforts for broader societal good, including urgent climate action. When accountability is negotiable for some, it weakens the fabric of justice for all.
This story, though seemingly disparate, shows us that the same mechanisms of power and influence that protect individuals from scandal can also be deployed to protect industries and practices that harm the planet, distracting from the pressing need for genuine climate stewardship. Our final investigation tonight takes us to the front lines of the climate crisis, to the Pacific island nation of Fiji, where a profound sense of frustration is growing among its youth. They are demanding genuine climate justice, not just symbolic gestures, from their political leaders.
The Diplomat reports on the growing disillusionment, highlighting the stark disconnect between the urgent aspirations of young Fijians and the slow pace of change from the country's political old guard. For these island nations, climate change is an existential threat, not a distant forecast.
Fiji, like many small island developing states, is disproportionately vulnerable to rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and ocean acidification. These are not abstract concepts but daily realities threatening their homes, livelihoods, and cultural heritage.
The article questions whether Fiji's established political figures can truly empower a new generation, or if they will merely continue to pay lip service to youth aspirations without enacting substantive, transformative climate policies. The stakes couldn't be higher.
Young activists in Fiji are not just demanding mitigation, they're demanding justice for historical emissions, financial support for adaptation, and a voice in decisions that directly impact their future. They understand that their survival depends on immediate, decisive action.
This isn't just about local politics. Fiji's struggle for climate justice mirrors that of countless vulnerable nations whose calls for action are often drowned out by the economic and political might of larger, wealthier, and historically polluting nations.
Who benefits from this status quo? Primarily, the political old guard, who maintain their power and influence by resisting radical change. Also, globally, those nations and industries responsible for the bulk of emissions benefit from a delayed and insufficient response.
The profound losers are the Pacific youth and future generations who face the very real prospect of losing their homelands. Their very existence is being threatened by a crisis they did not create, while those with power fail to act with the necessary urgency.
This story powerfully connects to broader power structures, exposing the intergenerational injustice at the heart of the climate crisis. It highlights how political inertia and global power imbalances allow the most vulnerable to bear the brunt of environmental destruction.
It underscores the neo-colonial undertones in much of the global climate discourse, where developed nations often dictate terms, and the voices of frontline communities are marginalized, despite being the most knowledgeable about local impacts and solutions.
The struggle in Fiji is a microcosm of the global fight for climate justice. It reveals how entrenched political systems, both locally and internationally, often prioritize short-term stability or economic interests over the long-term survival of entire populations.
The youth of Fiji are calling out the myth of political change that simply feeds on aspirations without delivering meaningful action. Their demand is for a radical shift in power and priorities, recognizing that true justice means safeguarding their future.
Maya, what we've uncovered tonight paints a stark picture, from geopolitical battles among petrostates to corporate environmental negligence and legislative attacks on climate action. A powerful and intertwined web of interests is actively jeopardizing our climate future.
Indeed, Alex. The UAE-Saudi rift, while seemingly about regional security, is a distraction that diverts vital resources and attention from climate action in a region central to global energy. It illustrates how fossil fuel wealth can perpetuate cycles of conflict and inertia.
Then we have Blue Origin, a company promising a future among the stars, yet threatening a pristine Florida waterway with industrial pollution. This reveals a corporate mindset that prioritizes profit and convenience over the protection of our planet's most sensitive ecosystems.
And right here in Florida, state lawmakers are actively working to ban local climate policies, stripping communities of their power to protect themselves from rising seas and extreme weather. This is a direct political assault on climate resilience, driven by short-sighted economic interests.
Even the scandal surrounding the Epstein files and the defense of implicated Emiratis, while not directly climate-related, exposes how unchecked wealth and influence can create a culture of impunity. This same lack of accountability can easily extend to environmental degradation.
Finally, the plight of Fiji's youth, demanding genuine climate justice from an old guard, underscores the profound intergenerational and global power imbalances. The voices of those most impacted are often marginalized, their existential threats minimized by political inertia.
What emerges from these disparate stories is a clear pattern: powerful entities, be they nations, corporations, wealthy individuals, or state governments, are consistently placing their own agendas, profits, and political survival above the urgent need for comprehensive climate action.
These forces are not just passively contributing to climate change, they are actively obstructing solutions, leveraging their power to maintain a status quo that benefits a select few at the expense of everyone else, and the planet itself.
The truth is, the climate crisis is not just an environmental challenge, it is a profound crisis of power, accountability, and justice. Our investigation reveals how deeply entrenched these forces are, making the fight for a sustainable future an uphill battle.
But it also shows us where the pressure points are. We must demand accountability from our leaders, challenge corporate negligence, empower local communities, and amplify the voices of the most vulnerable if we are to break free from this dangerous cycle.
The stakes have never been higher. The choices made today, or delayed, by these powerful actors will determine the world we leave for future generations.
It's time to hold power accountable. Demand transparency, support local initiatives, and never stop questioning who truly benefits from the decisions being made in the shadows.
For Truth Report, I'm Alex Truth.
And I'm Maya Clarity. Thank you for